examination as well across both boards. But why would one want to make a 9 to 10-year-old child sit for a board exam? It seems to be quite strange. Pradeep Rawat, the founder of the Gurgaon Parents Association, joins us, as does Aditi Mishra, Director and Principal of DPS Gurgaon. Thank you both very much for being with us. Ms. Mishra, let me come to you first. Besides the rules and the laws, what does it do to a 9 to 10-year-old to be sitting for an examination which is called a board examination? Forget about the learning or what they have to learn and write down. Are children socialized or psychologically at that age should they be able to do this?
Not at all. In fact, most progressive boards of the country do not have exams till class 5. There is a continuous assessment through pen and paper tests or through quizzes and through activities. There is no examination till the age of 10, which is class 5. The first standardized exam, school exam, comes in class 6. So this is something which we have never heard of, having an exam for class 5. Having a board exam, so to say, is even more preposterous.
Right. Pradeep Rawat, one of the big problems, as I understand it, is that the Haryana government is asking for class 8 students to appear for these board exams sometime in March. So these children in class 8, after 2 years of an online education, will be put through a board exam at the end of March, which actually takes place just a few weeks after their own school examinations are getting over in many cases. So how many exams do our children need to take?
To be very frank, I totally agree with the fact that this is a quite bizarre decision, especially on the part of the government, to literally ask children who were in the studying basically online at home for the last 2 years, and the kind of education. I'm not blaming particular schools or the kind of education that was provided, but since the children were kind of in the age group of 9 to 12, and what they were studying in online education, suddenly they are being asked to come out of the homes and attend school, and that too by giving board examinations. Board examination itself is a kind of a pressure thing. You, right from the day you attend a school, you have a feeling that you're going to give your first board exam in class 10, and then you go for the next examination at the class 12. But I believe a child who's been at home for the last 2 years never actually had a proper schooling, the kind which is expected from a school or a child. But now the thing which is basically hampering the growth and the mental setup of a child is in a kind of a trauma that suddenly has been asked by the school authorities. Yes, you're going to have a board examination, you'll be under pressure. And the basic thing is now all students, earlier it was kind of supposed, as madam just mentioned, that till class 5th basically no student was being failed. But now what happens if a child who's in class 5th goes for a board examination and God forbid if he fails? What kind of mental trauma is going to go through? Right. That is something beyond my imagination.
And Ms. Mishra, another point over here is that we have different boards. There's the CBSE board, there's the ISC board as well, and now the Haryana government wants to hold a standardized examination across both boards. There are more than subtle differences in the education of both boards. So what does the child prepare for?
No, there is also the IB and the GCSE.
Right.
So the Haryana board wants to have an exam for all national and international boards. And obviously, every board has a different curriculum, and fortunately, all schools have autonomy to follow whatever curriculum they want in class 8. The standardized test comes in the 9th and 10th. So I don't know what kind of exam they're even planning to have, which school would have done those modules or those concepts. I mean, for me as a principal, it's a very scary thought. I don't know what kind of panic the children and the parents would have, but I am panicking at the thought of a standardized exam for a 13-year-old who hasn't been to school and has gone through various stresses in the past 23 months.
Right. And so therefore, what is the way out? I mean, in your mind, Ms. Mishra, is it just to scrap these exams altogether, or is there any way in which a child can be further assessed by the government, by the board?
I don't see why they should be worrying about assessing them. It hasn't happened in the past many decades. Why start now?
Okay. In fact, let me put that question, ma'am, across to DP Kaushik, the spokesperson of the BJP in Haryana. Mr. Kaushik, can you explain the sense on why this is being done? Why must a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old in class 5 have a board exam? Why?
देखिए सर, ये तो आरटीआई जो कांग्रेस सरकार लेकर आई थी उस टाइम तक भी हरियाणा के अंदर दोनों बोर्ड लागू थे, और 5th और 8th का दोनों बोर्ड पहले से ही स्टार्टिंग थे। बट कांग्रेस सरकार के आने में उसके टाइम को ये इन्होंने डिसीजन लिया था, 5th और 8th एग्जाम कैंसिल किया गया था। तो अब सरकार ने उसका कुछ देखा कि बच्चों को एक अच्छी शिक्षा, उनका पता चल जाता है बच्चा 5th में कहाँ है, 8th स्टैंडर्ड में।
नहीं, पर एक चीज बताइए, हरियाणा में ISC, CBSE, IB, GCSE कई बोर्ड है, तो आप एक स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड एग्जामिनेशन कैसे देंगे इन छात्रों को, क्योंकि उनके सिलेबस अलग अलग है।
देखिए, अगर सरकार ने डिसीजन लिया है तो सर उसका भी पैटर्न तैयार किया जाएगा। तो ऐसा
कैसे तैयार किया जाएगा, सवाल तो यही है ना। सब पूछ रहे, पेरेंट्स पूछ रहे, स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स पूछ रहे, और ये भी पूछ रहे कि जरूरत क्या है एक 9 या 10 साल का बच्चे को एक बोर्ड एग्जाम में बिठाना। इवैल्यूएशन तो एग्जाम के अलावा दूसरे मेथड से भी किया जा सकता है।
नहीं, अगर देखिए मैं समझता हूँ कि एग्जाम बोर्ड का लेना, मतलब 9th का बच्चा पहले भी तो दिया जाता है।
9th का बच्चा नहीं, ये 5th और 8th का है।
नहीं, 5th 8th का, मतलब 9th 8th की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं।
जी 9th 8th, हाँ जी। तो 9th तो क्लास 5 तक। और एक और सवाल ये है कि बच्चे को, अगर ये बच्चा ये एग्जाम में फेल हो गया तो उसको क्या उसी क्लास में रखा जाएगा या उसको पास किया जाएगा? क्योंकि नियम अनुसार एक उम्र तक सब बच्चे को पास किया जाता है।
सर ये देखिए, पहले नियम अनुसार तो पहले आरटीआई जब लागू हुआ उससे पहले तो 5th के एग्जाम होते ही थे ना, 8th के एग्जाम भी हो रहे थे। तो मुझे लगता है कि एग्जाम अगर लेने में दिक्कत क्या बोर्ड के एग्जाम में?
नहीं, एग्जाम तो है, एग्जाम की कोई मना नहीं कर रहा है। हम सिर्फ ये बोर्ड एग्जाम के बारे में पूछ रहे, क्योंकि स्कूल्स में तो ऑलरेडी एग्जाम्स हैं। कुछ स्कूल्स में तो क्लास 5 में एग्जाम्स है भी नहीं, खैर दूसरे स्कूल्स में है एग्जाम्स, और जरूर क्लास 8 में सब बच्चों का एग्जाम्स है। उसके अलावा एक और एग्जाम देने का क्या जरूरत है?
देखिए सर, जो भी चीजें सरकार ने की हैं, तो कुछ सरकार का भी दायित्व बनता है बच्चों को अपने प्रति, जिस तरह की बातें आ रही हैं। बोर्ड का एग्जाम अगर मैं कहता हूँ, इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या आ रही है सर? सरकार ने अगर कोई सेक्शन तैयार किया है तो उसमें
प्रॉब्लम क्या है? ठीक है, तो प्रदीप रावत जी हमारे साथ है। He is the founder of the Gurgaon Parents Association. Pradeep ji, dikkat kya hai? What is the problem in having one more examination is what they are asking. What is your response?
Sir, to be very frank, even the student of class 10th and 12th who are supposed to give the board examinations, even they are literally scared of coming out of the houses and giving exams, simply because they too were in the houses for the last literally 2 years and there was hardly any offline education. So basically what I fail to understand, how can we literally ask tiny toddlers, the kids who are in class 5th or class 8th, to come out of the house, go for a board examination and feel free to be able to, kind of have a feeling that yes, I want to give in a board exam. Because what happens really is that when a child is at home for the last 23 or 22 months, he has seen what kind of a devastation our country or any country in the world has gone through. We are lucky that way, that we are safe, we are doing well as a country. But what I still believe is, as a child feels that yes, this is not the right time. Even the parents, as a parent, I also feel the same, that this is not the right time to ask a child to come out of the home, especially for board examination, and make him feel that you are going to give exam, and in case, God forbid, you fail, you will be retained in the same class.
Ms. Bishar,
so that is only a pressure.
Sure. Ms. Bishar, my final question to you, the reason I was asking you whether there could be a way around this is because lots of schools, for example, subscribe to asset tests. Now, this is entirely voluntary, but schools encourage their kids to do this, and it's not in the syllabus of ISC or CBSE, it's separate. If the Haryana government is proposing exams, could it not be similar to this in a sense? Except, it's not given in your school, you have to go perhaps.
So if it's optional, let schools which want to opt for it go for it. I don't believe in having an exam which is imposed, especially at this time. And please, we must also remember that schools make their schedules a year in advance.
Right.
Our exam is planned now. Our session starts in the 3rd week of March. If the Haryana government now wants to have an exam starting from the end of March, what does it do to our calendar? So our children will come to school now in the next class in the end of April, because the exam will take at least 10 days and there will be correction happening. So their result will be declared only by the end of April. I don't see it coming before that.
All right.
So how can we bring about this?
How do you fit this in? And let's spare a thought for who we are talking about, our children. Thanks very much, everybody, for being with us. Out of time on this.